Hello, my friend. I'm Dr. Linda Parker, your guide in mature health and well-being, and today I want to talk to you about something that quietly shapes the future of your heart and your brain: the way you start your morning. For years, many of us have heard the same story. Heart problems just happen with age, memory gets weaker because that's life, and there is little we can do beyond taking pills and crossing our fingers. But modern understanding of the body tells a very different story. Most of the big events we fear, a heart attack, a stroke, a sudden loss of clarity, are not random lightning bolts. They are the final expression of thousands of tiny choices repeated day after day. And a surprising amount of that damage begins within the first hour after you wake up. In this conversation, I want to show you the worst morning mistake that silently strains your heart and starves your brain, even if you feel fine right now. It's not some rare disease, it's not an exotic toxin, it's a pattern so common that it looks completely normal. The rushed, dehydrated, overstimulated way many adults start their day. My goal is simple: that by the end, you understand exactly what happens inside your body in those first minutes after waking, why it matters so much for circulation and memory, and how a gentle shift in your morning can protect you more than you imagine. Let me paint a scene that might feel familiar. The alarm rings. Your hand shoots out automatically, not for a glass of water, not for a gentle stretch, but for your phone. Before you even sit up, your eyes are flooded with blue light, and your mind is flooded with headlines, messages, notifications, demands. You skim a worrying news story, read an email that triggers stress, glance at social media, and see something that annoys you or makes you compare yourself. Your breathing becomes a little shallow. Your shoulders tense without you noticing. You swing your legs out of bed quickly. Your body has been horizontal for hours. Your blood flow adjusted to that position. Your pressure slightly lower as part of your natural night rhythm. But instead of giving your system a moment to adapt, you stand up fast and head straight to the kitchen. You haven't drunk a sip of water yet, even though your body has been losing fluid through breathing and sweating all night long. Your blood is a little thicker than it was yesterday afternoon. The first thing you put into your system is not water, not something that nourishes your blood vessels or your brain cells. It's a big, strong coffee, often on an empty stomach. Sometimes a very sweet breakfast follows: refined bread with jam, sugary cereal, a pastry, maybe a glass of juice filled with fast sugar. Within minutes, you have a cocktail inside you: dehydration, a caffeine spike, a jump in blood pressure, a rush of sugar, and a nervous system still reacting to that first hit of digital stress. On the outside, you are just getting on with your morning. On the inside, your heart and brain are paying the price. This, in essence, is the worst morning mistake: starting the day in emergency mode instead of preparation mode. It is the habit of waking up your nervous system, your blood vessels, and your metabolism with a shock instead of a gentle ramp. The mistake is not just the coffee, or just the phone, or just the sugary breakfast. It is the whole pattern. No water, sudden standing, immediate digital overload, and intense stimulation in a body that has not yet fully transitioned from night repair to day activity. To really understand why this is so damaging, we need to look at what your heart and brain are doing while you sleep. During the night, your blood pressure usually drops slightly. This is not a problem. It is part of the repair process. Your heart finally gets a break from pushing against the same resistance it faces all day. Your brain uses the night to clear metabolic waste and reset certain circuits. Many small repair mechanisms are most active while you are asleep. As the morning approaches, your body starts to prepare to wake. Hormones rise gently, your heart rate begins to climb, your blood vessels tighten just enough to bring your pressure back to daytime levels. This process is meant to be gradual. It is like dimming up a light, not flipping a switch, But when you jump out of bed, flood your brain with stressful information, skip water, and immediately pour in caffeine and sugar, you are hitting that system with a jolt. Blood pressure rises more sharply. The heart has to pump harder. The small vessels supplying your brain constrict and dilate quickly in response to the mix of stress, caffeine, and changing posture. Now add dehydration to this picture. After 6 to 8 hours of sleep, your body has lost fluid through breathing and sweating. Your blood volume is slightly reduced. It's as if the pipes in your house are running with a little less water than usual. When you stand up quickly without hydrating, your heart must work harder to maintain pressure. When you then add caffeine, which can act as a mild diuretic and a stimulant, you are asking that heart to do even more work with slightly less fluid to push. Over years, this extra effort, repeated every single morning, is part of what wears out the system. Your brain, meanwhile, is one of the hungriest organs you have. It demands a constant, stable supply of oxygen and glucose. Sudden spikes and drops are stressful for its delicate networks. When you drink a very sugary breakfast and combine it with caffeine, your blood sugar may shoot up fast and then crash. In the short term, this can feel like brain fog, irritability, or that mid-morning slump many people blame on age. In the long term, repeated sugar spikes and crashes damage the lining of blood vessels, including those that feed your heart and brain. We also need to talk about stress hormones. When the first thing your eyes see in the morning is a stream of frightening headlines or urgent messages, your nervous system switches into a mode designed for danger. Adrenaline and cortisol prepare you for fight or flight. Your heart beats faster, your blood vessels tighten to push blood toward your muscles, your digestion is temporarily put on hold, and your focus narrows to problems. This response is useful if you are running from a predator. It is not so helpful if your body is still half asleep and your only threat is an email. If you combine this stress response with dehydration, caffeine, and a blood sugar roller coaster, you create the perfect storm. Higher morning blood pressure, more vessel tension, more load on the heart muscle, and more strain on the tiny vessels that nourish memory and concentration. Studies consistently show that the early morning hours are when many heart attacks and strokes occur. There are many reasons for this, but the way we treat our hearts and brains in the first hour after waking is certainly part of the story. I want to be clear, one rushed morning will not break you. The danger is in the pattern. A harsh morning routine repeated for 10, 20, or 30 years becomes a quiet architect of damage. The opposite is also true. A protective morning routine repeated day after day becomes a quiet architect of resilience. Your age does not cancel this effect. The heart and brain of a 65-year-old still respond positively when you lower unnecessary strain and give them what they need early in the day. So what should that protective morning look like? It does not require perfection, expensive gadgets, or complicated rituals. It requires a change of priority and sequence. Let me walk you through a simple blueprint that many of my patients have used to ease pressure on their heart and sharpen their brain, starting tomorrow. The first step is what I call a soft landing into the day. When the alarm sounds, resist the urge to grab your phone. Instead, place one hand on your chest and take 3 or 4 slow breaths. Inhale gently through the nose for a count of 4, hold for a count of 2, and exhale through the mouth for a count of 6. Feel the air moving in and out. Feel your heartbeat become a little more regular. This tiny practice signals to your nervous system that the day begins in safety, not an emergency. It helps prevent an abrupt surge in heart rate and pressure. Next, sit on the edge of the bed for a few moments before you stand. Let your feet rest on the floor. Rotate your ankles, flex and extend your toes, roll your shoulders. This small transition gives your circulation time to adapt from horizontal to vertical. Many people notice that when they do this, morning dizziness or that sensation of blackness when standing improves. That means your brain is receiving a more stable flow of blood. The second step is hydration. Before coffee, before juice, before anything else, drink water. Aim for 1 or 2 modest glasses at room temperature. Sip slowly. Imagine you are refilling a gentle river inside your body. You are making your blood easier to pump, supporting your kidneys, and preparing your brain to function. Some people like to add a squeeze of fresh lemon or a pinch of mineral-rich salt if their doctor approves, but the essential part is the water itself. This single act reduces one of the hidden burdens on your heart, the extra work of pushing thickened blood after a dry night. The third step is gentle movement to wake up your circulation. You do not need a gym or special equipment. 3 to 5 minutes is enough to make a difference. Walk slowly around your home, rise up and down on your toes as if you are pressing a pedal, and let your calf muscles act as pumps that return blood from your legs to your heart. Lift your arms above your head, stretch your sides, make gentle circles with your hips. You are telling your blood vessels, it is time to open, time to deliver oxygen. The heart loves this kind of gradual activation. It allows it to increase its work in a controlled way instead of in a sudden jump. The fourth step is to feed your brain with light, not just with food. When possible, open your curtains or step outside for a couple of minutes. Natural light signals to your internal clock that it is daytime. This helps regulate your hormones, your energy curve, and even your blood pressure pattern over the next 24 hours. Many older adults spend almost all their time under artificial light, and their internal clocks become confused, promoting poor sleep and more chaotic mornings. A few minutes of daylight early on is a surprisingly powerful medicine for the brain. Only after breathing, hydrating, moving, and seeing light do we bring in food and, if you enjoy it, coffee. Now your heart is more ready, your brain is better supplied, and your nervous system is calmer. When you eat breakfast, think steady fuel rather than sugar explosion. Include some protein, some healthy fats, and some fiber. This could be eggs with vegetables, oatmeal with nuts and seeds, yogurt with whole fruit instead of juice, or another combination that suits your culture and taste. What matters is that the energy from this meal enters your bloodstream gradually, avoiding the extreme peaks and valleys that are so hard on your vessels and your mood. Coffee itself is not always the villain. The trouble begins when it is the very first thing in a dry, stressed body. Consider having your coffee 60 to 90 minutes after waking, and preferably with or after food, not before water. Enjoy it, but respect its power. Caffeine raises alertness in part by stimulating adrenaline. That means it asks your heart to work harder and your blood vessels to tighten slightly. In a hydrated, nourished, calm system, this can be acceptable. In a dry, anxious, sugar-loaded system, it is another log on the fire. We also need to re-examine our relationship with devices in that first hour. If you can keep your phone on airplane mode or in another room until you have completed your basic morning care, breathing, water, movement, and breakfast, your heart and brain will thank you. You are giving your emotional world a chance to settle before exposing it to the demands and dramas of the outside world. Many people are shocked by how much calmer and clearer they feel when they delay reading the news or opening messages by just 30 minutes. I want to share with you 2 brief stories that illustrate what can happen when someone changes from the damaging morning pattern to the protective one. These are not miracle stories. They are stories of biology responding to better conditions. One gentleman, let's call him Mark, was 68 years old. He had borderline high blood pressure, occasional chest tightness when climbing stairs, and a constant feeling of mental fog before noon. His morning looked exactly like the classic mistake: alarm, immediate phone use, coffee in one hand, sugary pastry in the other, no water, no pause. Over the years, his doctors had adjusted his medications, but his symptoms always seemed to creep back. When we reviewed his daily routine, it became clear that his first hour was working against everything else he was doing. Mark agreed to try a new pattern for 4 weeks. The rules were simple. No phone for the first 30 minutes, 2 glasses of water within 10 minutes of waking, 3 minutes of gentle movement, curtains open as soon as possible, breakfast with more protein and less sugar, coffee after breakfast, not before. At his follow-up, his blood pressure readings at home were more stable, his morning chest tightness had eased, and he described his mind as less cloudy. The numbers on the monitor told one part of the story. The way he felt told the rest. He realized that his heart had been starting every day uphill, and now it finally had a small slope in its favor. Another example is Susan, 71, who complained of early morning anxiety and occasional brief spells of dizziness. She feared that something was terribly wrong with her heart or brain. After appropriate testing ruled out immediate danger, we examined her habits. She would wake up, sit up quickly, and spend 20 minutes in bed scrolling through alarming news. Then she would stand fast, feel lightheaded, rush to the kitchen, and drink strong coffee on an empty stomach. By the time she finished that cup, her heart was pounding and her fears were even higher. For Susan, we did not need a new medication. We needed a new rhythm. She practiced slow breathing before getting out of bed, moved more gradually to standing, drank water first, and postponed her news consumption until after she had eaten and walked for a few minutes. Within 2 weeks, her episodes of pounding heart and dizziness had reduced significantly. Her formal test results did not change dramatically in that short time, but her daily life did. She felt safer inside her own body. Her heart and brain were no longer ambushed every morning. If you take only one message from our time together, let it be this. Your first hour after waking is not a meaningless blur. It is a powerful lever over the health of your heart and your brain. The worst morning mistake is treating that hour as a frantic race, fueled by dehydration, digital stress, and sharp stimulants. The wiser choice is to treat it as a quiet investment. Breathe, hydrate, move, receive light, fuel steadily, and then face the world. You might be thinking, but at my age, does it really matter? Yes, it does. Your arteries are still capable of relaxing. Your heart muscle still responds when you reduce its workload. Your brain still builds and protects connections when you give it steady oxygen and stable blood sugar. You do not need to aim for perfection. You just need to stop attacking yourself every morning and start cooperating with your own biology. So here is my invitation. Tomorrow, observe your morning as if you were watching a movie about someone you care for deeply. Notice the order of your actions. Notice what you do to your heart and your brain in those first minutes. Then choose one single change. Maybe leaving your phone outside the bedroom. Maybe drinking water before anything else. Maybe sitting on the bed for 30 seconds and breathing before you stand. Practice that one change for a week. When it becomes natural, add another. Small, consistent choices at the start of your day can, over time, protect you from some of the most feared problems of aging. They can support your circulation, clarify your mind, and extend the years in which you feel truly present and alive. Never underestimate that quiet power. Never think it is too late to give your heart and your brain a kinder beginning each morning. If this message resonated with you, I encourage you to share it with someone you love who might also be living in emergency mornings without realizing it. And if you want to keep learning practical, science-backed ways to support your heart, your brain, and your vitality in the second half of life, I invite you to subscribe and leave a comment describing what your mornings look like now. and which small change you are ready to try. I'm Dr. Linda Parker, and I want you to remember this. You may not control everything that happens in your life, but you do control how you greet each new day. Start gently, and your heart and your brain will quietly thank you for years to come.